Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to episode 214 of Empty Betters. I am your host, Harrison Scholes, and I am going to toss it across the screen to my co-host, Mr. Nick Manello. What's going on, my friend?
Dude, we got a lot to talk about. One game in particular, if you're watching on YouTube, you see what Mac and I are rocking right now. Yeah, at this point, like I said last week, my bracket's toast. So fuck who I picked and let's just go for chaos at this point. So go Leafs, go, baby.
Absolutely. Yes, we are recording this at 11:15 at night on Thursday. You're listening to this on Friday, doing the late night work for the good of the order here. Had to catch that game six Leafs Bruins action. But I am now going to toss it off to my other co-host up in Wisconsin, Mr. Mac Vogel. What's going on?
What's up, y'all? I actually just got back from a double watch party that ended in a horrible fashion. I was at Major Goolsby's in Milwaukee downtown watching first a watch party for the Bucks on one side of the bar, and then cross over the other side of the bar for a watch party. They actually bought AHL TV so that they can stream the Admirals games. It was game one of the playoffs for them tonight, and Bucks lost, Admirals lost. So kind of a kind of a bummer. It was super fun anyway, though. Shout out Major Goolsby's, great bar, good food,
Unreal
good
name.
drinks.
Did you get the AHL TV login and password? Because we might need that for the Bears again this year.
We might need it again. I'll work on that. They're having another party for the Saturday game. I may or may not be there. I just think it's so crazy. AHL has to start like 2 games on the road and then 3 at home, and that's
Yeah.
home ice advantage. That's crazy, but
Yeah, I feel like you would want your home games first.
yeah, it's like
Yeah.
if you don't find a way to steal one of those first 2 road games, you're kind of screwed.
Big
So
time.
it's weird, but I mean, we all know the AHL has like no money, so it's all just about funds and stuff.
I'm sure
So
travel plays into it too.
it makes sense. Yeah, it's all about logistics. So I get it.
Well, we definitely have a banger of an episode. We will get to Leafs Bruins in the later part of the episode. That'll probably be closer to the end. We're going to start with the Western Conference playoff update since we last recorded on Monday. But before we do, I think Nick has a word from our sponsor, Kane Footwear.
Absolutely. Let's take a minute to talk about Kane footwear. If you're looking for the best way to recover and looking for an active recovery shoe that's not only functional to use outdoors, but comfortable and stylish, look no further than Kane footwear. The Kane Revive is made with bounce back foam using Brazilian sugarcane technology. Good for the environment, good for your body, great for everyone else. Head to the link in our bio today to get a pair of the most comfortable shoes you will ever own.
Absolutely. All right, let's get into it. So the Jets and the Avalanche, we have that series come to a close in 5 games. The Colorado Avalanche officially win the series 4 games to 1, and they won game five, 6-3 in Winnipeg. Nick, I know you were watching this game. What were your overall impressions of this one?
Yeah, this whole series was kind of weird. I know we all wanted this one to go a little bit longer than it did, but I feel like I watched 6 hockey games in a 5 game series, if that makes sense. I don't really know how to explain it any other way than that, but what a time for Mikko Rantanen to wake up. We go into that third period tied. He comes out and gets 2 goals. And I mean, that was pretty much all she wrote at that point. I don't really think we thought the Jets were going to claw their way back into that one. I mean, that high flying Avs offense is just unbelievable. And um, yeah, I mean, what a series though. I think the Jets are definitely going to be hurting after that one. They're going to want a better outcome for their season for sure.
It sucks for sure. I love the way you put it about just feels like we squeezed a lot of hockey into just a couple games there. I totally agree. And I know we're about to get to it, but I'm going to jump the gun a little bit here. I love what Hellebuck said. That's what I've been saying. If you've been listening, that's what I've been saying on this podcast throughout the entire series. And I believe it. I think he played just fine. I really don't have much to blame Hellebuck for. Maybe a couple goals, maybe like 2 or 3 goals, the whole series that he might want back. But man, I don't know what else he's supposed to do, in my opinion.
Yeah, it seems like everyone's really, under the school of thought that he played great. Some people are going to say, look at the numbers. He really didn't based on how he was all season long. we said a couple episodes ago that this was just going to be a bizarre series for goaltending numbers because of the high flying offenses, really of Colorado, but on both
Especially.
teams. So I would tend to agree with you. I think Hellebuck did a lot. I think the question marks are probably better directed at the Leafs defense or at the Jets defense.
Yes. Yeah.
Just for I think you can point out a lot of those goals. Some of them it's Colorado. You're just not going to be able to defend them. But
a lot of it is that I saw a lot of Jets fans calling out like Sandberg and I forget the other guy that some people were pissed at. But either way, it's like I think I forget who said this, but I might have even mentioned it on a previous episode. But it's like you take 5 penalties a game against Colorado and you let in or you allow 30 plus shots a game. What the fuck do you want Hellebuck to do about that? Like,
yeah, he didn't really get much help. I've probably been the most critical of him out of the three of us on the show, but in his defense, he didn't really get much help, and they took a ton of penalties.
In his defense, he had no defense.
Colorado.
Yeah, in his defense, he had no defense.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's a great point, though, Mac. It is Colorado. I mean, if you looked at those two teams based on how they played this year, Winnipeg probably had the better season. But I think still on paper, Colorado's probably a much more complete hockey team than the Jets are.
And you got Jesse Pollock asking people, I don't get it. We swept them in the regular season or whatever. It's like, buddy, are you new to this? It means absolutely nothing.
Dude, that guy has it rough. I mean, to have to stand in Leaf Square after that and just take it, I mean, that is brutal.
It's interesting to see what'll happen in Winnipeg this summer, because last year the exact same thing happened. They took on the Vegas Golden Knights in round 1. They looked really strong in game 1 and come out with a win, and then they got destroyed in the next 4 games, and Vegas obviously went on to win the cup. So,
and I don't want to diminish what that team did this season. It was very, very impressive. Their coach, Rick Bowness, even after this game said that was the best playoff game we've played in 2 years. And I would totally agree with them. I mean, it just seems like they've been a little bit snake bitten in the postseason since they went to the Western Conference Finals in 2018.
They need to switch to 1 through 8, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, like, listen, we've exercised this argument a billion times. It's probably a victim that you could chalk up to that same, like, the NHL needs to fix their playoff format type deal. But hey, it is what it is, and you got to find a way to win. They didn't. So
yeah, it's interesting to see how Colorado is fresh after 5 games, and they're absolutely rolling all steams ahead. And then you've got Vegas and Dallas just beating the wheels off of each other. And I'm sure Colorado is loving every bit of that. But wild series. I think after game 1, none of us would have predicted this would have happened, but here we are.
Yeah, I think that stat about the Jets being the first team in the NHL, in the history of the NHL, to allow 5 or more goals in each of their first 5 postseason games is just nuts. I think that just says everything you need to know about this series.
That and the stat that, what was it? Hellebuck had the most goals against, but also the most saves.
Yep.
Like,
in the first round out of all the
to me, that's all the defense you need to argue that Hellebuck, it's not his fault. Like, the shot volume, he did his job.
And I thought Georgiev has looked great.
He is the goalie, but
I mean, but
it's a little bit. It's not. I will retract how forceful I was about that. I probably
they didn't put it this way. They didn't lose this series because of him.
Absolutely not.
No, they did not.
In fact, I think there's probably a lot of goaltenders that would have done a lot worse in a situation like that.
Oh my God. Yeah. They don't. Yeah.
Well, maybe one of those goaltenders would have been David Rittich, which will very smoothly transition into our next series. The Oilers officially win their series against the LA Kings in 5 games. They take game 5, 4-3. Stuart Skinner made 18 saves. Draisaitl scored twice. Kane and Hyman each get on the board. And, of course, the Oilers score a power play goal because it's the month of April/May at this point. So that is what it is. Your guys' overall impressions on how the Oilers are looking so far?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you nailed it. They scored on the power play. That's just the overall theme of this series for me. It's, it would make Dickens impressed. It's a tale of two cities between these two special teams units. It's the Oilers who are just flying. And, I know that they only went 1 for 5 on the power play in that game. 2 of them they scored like in 2 seconds after the penalty had expired. LA, obviously, the stat there with just not having a power play goal in 12 tries in the series. That's what did it right there for me. But, for the Oilers to be able to put that game away, they're definitely building momentum and the right kind. And I think Skinner's getting hot at the right point now, where if he really dials it, this team could very well be the real deal here.
Yeah, I mean, if you've been listening for a while, I love to make fun of the Oilers. They have no defense, no goaltending. I love saying shit like that. In a lot of ways, and this, not in every way, but in a lot of ways, the Kings played this series how I wanted the Capitals to play against the Rangers. Like, I think they actually did a pretty good job at being pesky and doing what they could. And to the Oilers' credit, they were just too much to handle. Like, I got to give the Oilers some credit. I actually think they looked really good. They impressed me. I don't think this is a case of like, oh, the Oilers got an easy draw. I really think the Kings, they did a pretty good job at doing what they could do to kind of give them some hell. And it just just wasn't enough.
Yeah, especially 5-on-5. I mean, the Oilers power play, 20 power plays in 5 games and 9 goals. That's just ludicrous. I mean, that's just your own fault. But
Right.
5-on-5, I think the Kings look great. I think you make a great point.
And that's why I say, like, in some ways, not in every way. I don't wish the Capitals took as many penalties as the Kings did and scored as little power play goals as they, et cetera, et cetera. But, I do think, like, I watched almost every single game of this series, and every time I felt like Doughty and the boys were at least like dialed in. I never watched the game and was like, where the hell are the Kings? I guess the one blowout, you could kind of argue. Yeah, that one maybe. But for the most part, I think they did what they could, and it just better team won.
Yeah, so Edmonton eliminates Los Angeles in the opening round for the 3rd consecutive year. That's pretty brutal. I think I saw the meme that was like, in 2022, they beat him in 7. In 2023, they beat him in 6. In 2024, they beat him in 5. Next year, they're going to sweep them because it's just the pattern going
That
on.
would be insane, man.
It sucks. And like, again, as a Caps fan, we went through that playing the same teams over and over. You can never get over the hump. It sucks. I feel for you guys, but also you guys have a couple of recent cups. I don't feel that bad.
Well said.
One last thing I want to say, Leon Draisaitl, that I saw
my goodness.
I saw a graphic today, and it was his face, and it was like October through March, and it has a quote, and it says, "Is he really a top 5 player in the NHL?" And then it goes from April to May, and it says, "Is he better than Connor McDavid?"
Literally,
yeah,
though.
Yeah.
He lit it up. He had 5 goals and 5 assists in 5 games.
I saw some Oilers head today trying to compare his stats to Austin Matthews' stats and saying, I don't understand why people say Matthews is better, because it was all playoff stats. Granted, I don't have it in front of me, but it was basically saying like how many games they've each played, how many assists, goals. And then it also, they really came for the throat, saying like how many 3-1 leads they've choked up.
Ooh.
How many conference final appearances, second round appearances, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah.
Oh man. So one last question on this and we'll move on. Confidence rating on a scale from 1 to 10. 10 being you feel very strong it's going to happen. What rating do you give the Edmonton Oilers to make the Stanley Cup final for the first time in the McDavid era?
To make it or win it?
Oh,
Make
man.
It. We're going to make it.
Let me start. And again, I want to be clear. I love to be an Oilers hater. That's important before you hear my next sentence. My confidence rating in them is higher than it's ever been. That's not saying that much, though, because I love to shit on these guys. I think Colorado, to me so far, looks like the most dangerous Western Conference team. I also think they had a way more dangerous opponent that they somehow clowned, and Edmonton kind of clowned the Kings, but not that hard. I don't know. I'm more scared of Colorado than I am of Edmonton, to put it short.
Yeah, that's not a confidence rating number, but good answer.
I do agree with you in the sense that my
6.
confidence is
6.
higher in them than it's ever been. For me, it was that 1-0 win. I think it was back on Saturday over the weekend. Just
Yeah.
looked like a
Yeah.
statement playoff win. I was like,
Yep.
that's something you usually don't see out of the Oilers in the playoffs. They usually
Well,
blow that game.
you said it. You got to find ways to win games you're not
Yes.
supposed to or not deserving of, and they didn't that game, and they did.
And I think between like how they're playing as a team, how they're playing defensively, and what we're seeing out of Skinner, I would actually bump my rating from a 6 to a 7 at this point. I think
That's fair.
they just kind of have to hope that someone, like you said, is able to slow down the Avs a little bit. Because right now
Yeah.
it looks like they could just ragdoll anyone from the East or
Right.
the West.
And that rating is nothing about the Oilers. It's more about the Avs. That's the thing. It's like I am pretty confident in the Oilers' own abilities, actually, which I never am, but I am right now. But I'm worried about the Avs for them.
I'll go 8.5.
Wow.
Here we
And
go again.
You're kind of an
Here
Avs
we
guy.
go again.
I know
I
you like the Oilers sometimes. You like to
I'm
bet on them and lose, but
I'm nervous because I feel like Colorado has a much tougher second round on their hands than whoever Edmonton's going to get. And that
Definitely.
makes it easier for Edmonton. I don't know.
because what Edmonton gets either Vancouver or Nashville, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's
Colorado
definitely
gets
easier.
fucking Vegas or Dallas, which
Yeah,
is
that's tough. But again, like Colorado just beat Winnipeg in 5 games. That's a good fucking hockey team. I don't know.
Harry, are you going to put money on the Oilers?
no,
Okay.
no. I have the Avs as my cup pick. I have the Avs as my cup pick. That's all we need to know.
Okay.
Moving on.
4 days later.
We've got the Canucks and the Nashville Predators. Nashville survives Game 5 in Vancouver, winning that game 2-1. The series is now 3-2 Van. On the day you're listening to this, there will be Game 6 on the evening of in Nashville. And yeah, that is going to be a bonkers environment. I am wearing a Nashville themed hat if you're watching on YouTube, even though I picked the Canucks, because I have a very funny feeling that we are going to take this one the distance. And I'm not feeling so confident in my Canucks pick all of a sudden.
I was wearing my Predators jersey at the Milwaukee Admirals watch party tonight. If you don't know, the Admirals are the feeder team for the Nashville Predators. So I had a lot of Merles fans coming up to me asking me, do you think the Preds are going to win? Do you think they're going to, force Game 7, all that? And the overall consensus from everyone I talked to was we're not afraid of the Canucks. We think we can win this still. Never been a doubt. We've been the better team all series, and I totally agree. However, it was also interesting to me. Almost everyone I talked to said if we do lose this series, I'm gonna root for the Canucks. Like, there's not a lot of. Doesn't seem like there's a lot of like bad blood or hatred in that series.
That's really interesting, actually. I think that, oh my God, if you're Vancouver, I mean, it would be hard not to shit your pants going into Bridgestone for this Game 6. I mean, that place is absolutely going to be rocking. I wonder how many catfish were going to get thrown on the ice that night.
Yep.
If the Predators score first in that game,
So
I think that could get out of hand for the Canucks very, very quickly, especially because a lot of that team is so young. I know they do have some guys that have playoff experience there, but a lot of their key guys don't.
And that's the other thing Merle's fans were saying. They were like, however, if they do lose, I wouldn't mind getting some of those guys back on the Admirals.
Seriously.
There's a lot of, you make a good point. There's a lot of young, inexperienced guys there. It'll be interesting to see how they fare.
this series has been super, super low scoring, which, kind of hints that, Nick, you're probably onto something in terms of the first goal. It seems like that first goal is going to be really important for Game 6. I'm very interested to see if DeSmith is healthy enough to go, or if they're going to stick with Shelovs. Shelovs has looked honestly pretty good for the 2 games he started. So he stopped 20 shots in Game 5. Vancouver power play went 0 for 2. That's obviously going to sting. They gotta wake that up a little bit. This is weird, man. Like Patterson, I know we keep hammering this. I know everybody keeps hammering this. Like, what are we doing, man? Like, you got paid all this money, and look at your fellow Swede, Willie Stiles, who's playing without his star players, getting 2 goals in the biggest game of his career. We need Patterson to wake up if the Canucks are going to do anything.
It literally is the difference maker.
I think
It's
so.
like if he finds a way to just find his game, it's over. The Canucks win. Like it's that. It really is that simple, in my opinion.
Harry, I think that's a great point. The Nylander comparison there. He scored his first 2 of the playoffs tonight. Rantanen did the same thing in that Avs Jets game 5. He scored his first 2 of the postseason in the third to close it out. So I think you've kind of got to look at it and say exactly what Max said. Like if this guy turns it on, has a goal, 2 assists, or 2 goals or 1 or something like that, I think it is going to be the difference maker for the Canucks.
Are you guys more impressed by the Preds, or are you more disappointed by the Canucks?
God, that's a great question, Harry. I don't know. I I would have to say impressed by the Preds because again, they have outplayed the Canucks in every single game, just about. Maybe one of them is debatable, but almost every single game, hands down, outplayed the Canucks. Whereas on the other side of the coin, the Canucks, yes, they were amazing all year, but let's dial it back to the beginning of the season. No one really even thought they were going to be that good. So
True.
it's kind of like if we think about those expectations at the beginning of the season and what they're doing, we'd all be like, oh, that's pretty impressive or on par or.
I think
So,
I'm going to go ahead and say impressed by the Preds as well. And that's mainly just because that was a gutsy, shut the front door kind of playoff hockey game that they had to play on the road in a
Yeah.
very hostile environment. We've talked about it the last couple episodes. The crowd in Vancouver has been fantastic.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to have to say I'm more impressed with the Preds. I think if we're going to ask that same question for what comes here in game 6, I will be more disappointed in the Canucks if they lose that game than impressed
Yeah.
with the Preds.
Yeah. And
yeah.
let's not forget, too, the Preds, this is a team that absolutely put their foot on the gas pedal the last like 2 months of the season,
Yep.
which I mean, no one thought this was a playoff team at the All-Star break.
No, yeah, you're 100% right.
Harry, who are you like? Are you more impressed with the Preds or more disappointed with the Canucks for that game 5 win?
Um, I can't be. I can't really say I'm disappointed in the Canucks considering the injury circumstances in that. Like,
True.
I mean, I tweeted this. I cashed out my series spread bet on the Canucks when they were up because once I heard DeSmith went down, I was like, I've seen this script in Pittsburgh and it doesn't end the way you think it does, so I'm not doing this. But um, yeah, I'm impressed by the Preds. I think this is going 7. I don't know who's going to win game 7 because I don't know who the goalies are going to be. I mean, I'd imagine DeSmith will come back if that happens, but we'll
We
see.
need Vancouver and Toronto to both have game 7s.
Grease the lamp poles.
Would be so
Yep.
cool. Yeah.
Take
Yeah.
a
You're
take a
right.
note out of Philadelphia's book. They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
All right. Last Western Series, the Dallas Stars and the Vegas Golden Knights. My goodness, this one has taken a complete 180 after Vegas was up in the series 2-0, winning both games in Dallas. Dallas is now ahead in the series 3-2. They win game 5 on home ice, the first team to win on home ice in this series. And you just got to shout out Jake Ottinger because that dude played his balls off and made an incredible save late in the third on a breakaway to seal the deal for the Stars. And I know we're all happy that the Stars are, pulling through here. I think I mentioned this to you guys, but there was a poll on one of the main NHL Twitter pages, and it was like, who would you classify as America's team in the NHL playoffs right now? And the majority was on Dallas. So what's Nick, this is your team, man. Let's hear it from the insider himself. What do you think?
First and foremost, we got to get rid of this glass banging guy. I mean, I don't know what this guy was putting up his nose before this game to be that just like
You
that is
don't
just
you don't?
psychotic behavior. Well, I do. It's just a question of which 3 things am I thinking of, but yeah, just absolutely like psychopath behavior for an entire game to be doing that. I would lose my mind if I was sitting around that guy. I'm surprised he hasn't gotten his face like punched through the back of his
Yeah.
head already, but let's get to the positives here. Yeah, you nailed it. Ottinger looked fantastic. That save on that breakaway down the stretch was the defining point in that hockey game. I don't really think you can slice it any other way. Duchesne and Robertson getting power play goals, that is absolutely massive. And then that Stankoven setup on the Dadonov goal. Oh, baby.
Yeah, I was filthy.
Unreal.
I love that. The wait it out. And like, that's some Backstrom to Ovi type shit. I love that.
Worth noting in game 5, Vegas turned to Aiden Hill to go in between the pipes. Thompson played pretty well so far, but I think they're looking to change up the mojo, and yeah, that kind of backfired.
I think they'll go back to LT. I think
I think so too.
there's so many teams overthinking it right now in goal. And it's like, I don't know. I get it. Aiden Hill did basically just win you a Stanley Cup last year. It's worth giving him a chance,
He
but
played fine. It's just I think LT's hot, you know.
yeah,
I think
agree.
they were looking for a little something just to turn it around after
Yeah.
dropping 2 in a row. I don't know if that was the move I would have made, but
Yep.
I fully am in agreement. I expect them to go back to LT after this just because I think that's the right decision. You got to ride the hot hand right now. And yeah, I don't know if I agree with that call. Obviously, I'm not the coach, but I don't know if goaltending was necessarily your problem. So
Right. Yeah. I need more from Tyler Sagan. If I'm the Stars, I need more from him. I've picked him twice.
What if it's your bank account?
No, and I'm not even putting money on this, but I picked him twice as a goal scorer, and that's not even why I'm saying this, but I need a little more out of him. He's one of your star players. I know this is a deep team. There's a lot of guys that'll step up, and they have, but if you're going to win a series against the Vegas Golden Knights, defending Stanley Cup champs, I want to see that guy doing a little more.
Yeah, he made that one guy, or I'm sorry, he collided with someone on Vegas last game, and they ended up getting dinged up in the first. Who was that? You remember that, Nick?
Yeah. Oh man,
I don't remember who it was off the top
I
of
saw
my
that
head.
play. I can't remember.
It was the only time I remember seeing him.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, game 6 is Friday night in Las Vegas, the day you're listening to this. Let's get some predictions on the table for this one, fellas. What do we think is going to happen in game 6?
Fuck Vegas. This series is over.
I think I picked the Stars in 6. I'm sticking with it.
Yep.
It's going 7. You know it is. You
I
know
mean,
it is.
I'm here for the chaos, but
listen, I'm trying to manifest it. Just shh.
I listen. I got my gripes with Vegas. I don't not as much gripe as you guys. I got my gripes with Vegas, but I wouldn't be mad to see Mr. Eichel do his thing on Friday night and force this 7, and that would be an epic game 7. That would be a really good
it
one.
would. And as our buddy Nate, owner of Elwoods, was telling me during game 5, he said, I'll never be mad at any game 7 in any series that's free hockey.
Well
baby.
said.
And I completely agree.
Hammer the Eichel props. That dude's he's a playoff performer.
He's on one. Yeah, he is.
He's been taking some big hits too, so it's not been easy for him.
He's going. All right, we're going to move out east, but before we do, we have a word from our friends over at DraftKings.
This episode of Empty Betters is brought to you by DraftKings. The chase for the Stanley Cup is on, and if you're looking to light the lamp, nothing beats the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. From the start of the playoff beards all the way till the hoisting of the cup, DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered with same-game parlays, live betting, odds boost, and so much more. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN. New customers bet $5 and get $200 bonus bets instantly. That's code THPN only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Okay, and now we are going to move on to our Eastern Conference wrap-ups and maybe one little preview here. We're going to start with the boring one, Carolina, New York, and then we'll talk about Leafs Nation. We know you're all chomping at the bit. So Carolina closes out the series against the Islanders in 5 games. They end up winning on home ice 6-3 in game 5 to clinch the series. And to be honest with you, it's kind of over from the start.
It was this one, I feel bad saying this because I do think, very similar to LA, that the Islanders outplayed the Hurricanes at some points in this series. They just didn't do what they needed to do to close these games out. And I don't think it was a question of if, it was just when. It was how many games were the Canes going to win this one in.
This is another one where I could say this is kind of how I wish the Caps would have battled against the Rangers. But
as in winning a game?
Yes. Exactly.
I was going to say.
No, but not even just that. It's not just about that. Like you just said, I think there were multiple games where the Islanders at least had the Canes on their heels a little bit,
True. I mean, they outplayed them in game 1. They were outplaying them until what, the last 2 minutes of game 3 or whatever that was.
And I said it after that. When you lose a game like that, you're done. You don't come back from that. It's not even about what the score of the series is after that. It's about what that does to the locker room. And you can't come back from blowing something like that. Also, what sucked about this elimination game for Isles fans, holy shit, that bounce. Honestly, both of those bounces are like just so frustrating. Like one goes off, you block a shot. You literally do your job and block a shot, and it just pops into the slot on somebody's stick and they just score. And the other one, it's like what, off a stanchion or something. Varley, I feel a little bad for Varlamov.
That was wicked deflection off the stanchion.
The one that he gets blamed for earlier in the series, which, that one I think you could argue he maybe is more his fault. This one, too many people are like, what the fuck was he doing? And it's like, buddy, you can't predict that.
There's nothing he can do. He is doing what he's supposed to do there, which is go behind the net to try
top on the net right after a goal, try and get the puck for your team to get some possession, and it just horrible bounce. It sucks. I feel for you guys.
The Canes became the first team to win at least one playoff series in 6 straight postseasons since the Detroit Red Wings did it in 95 all the way through 2000.
They ought to hang a banner for that. That's awesome.
So I don't know if you guys have seen the Twitter drama. There's a couple of things going around that I want to hear what you guys think. The Kuznetsov outrage on this penalty shot is not dying. Like, people are still super pissed off.
I love that there's still people that have never seen this every time. They're like, oh my God, what is this? It's like, guess what, buddy?
Stop it. Like, that's a goal.
Yeah, that's my thing. It's not illegal, right? It's well within all the rules. He's still moving.
The people trying to say they need to add a shot clock. Hey, buddy, this isn't the NBA. Get fucked. Go to bed.
It's just like, you would think you know the move that's coming.
Listen,
right? So
I hate the Carolina Hurricanes. I have zero problem with this. This is a good goal. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. I don't think any rules need to be changed to combat it. I think it's perfectly within right of Kuznetsov to do what he's doing. And just as you boys said, stop the puck. If you don't like it, you know exactly what he's going to do. If you really don't like it, practice it. Why don't you have some of your players try and do it at a practice, at the end of practice or something, and have your goalie try and Varlamov. Listen, I just defended the guy. He did the exact thing that you can't do on this. You bite first. The whole thing is about, it's a waiting game.
Yeah, like, the poke check.
Has this guy not watched the tape?
Or D3 Mighty Ducks, Coach Orion. Make him make the first move, Conway. Come on.
Yes, you wait it out. I'm sorry. He made it so much more easy for him. And there was another, this is just so next level stupid, but there was another guy in the comments on like Instagram being like, that's so, like the video of him scoring. It's like, that's so weird. I'm so mad that the NHL switched to 3-on-3 and then shootout
that might have just been a troll. I really hope.
No. This guy fully didn't know, because someone literally commented and was like, buddy, it was a penalty shot. And the guy was like, oh, that makes a lot more sense. Okay, thanks.
Oh my
God. It's like, no, it was the only exception to the situation.
You guys
Hell
didn't
freeze
idiots.
over.
Yeah.
I don't get what people are so mad about. Like, I don't understand why that pisses people off.
They think it's cheating.
How is that cheating? Like,
because he scores it so much.
I also,
it's not his fault.
My bigger problem is the people being like, God, this is like ruining the game. It's like, what? Because you're mad that you had
don't give him a penalty shot in overtime in the playoffs or in the playoffs in general.
Explain this to me, because you're mad that you had to watch a penalty shot for 15 seconds instead of like 7 seconds. Like,
right.
I don't understand why.
It's because he's good at it. That's
right.
Yeah. It's because he's good at it.
It's fucking cool. He's doing something no one's ever done before, and he's sick at it.
He does miss on it. I can tell you that firsthand.
It doesn't work every time, because some goalies have watched the tape and figured it the fuck out.
Right.
Like, the people that complain about this might be the biggest morons in the world. It's so stupid.
What do we definitely, like, in our group chat when he was on the Caps and he would do this in regular season games, we'd be like, all right, how drunk is he tonight? Like,
Yeah.
like let's see what we got here.
God. Yeah, I could do a whole episode on this. I could go hours on how dumb these people are that complain about this. But anyway, get fucked if you don't like it.
And the second piece of drama, and this was texted to me by our good friend Mark Corderaro on the show. He sent me a tweet and he's like, "Look at this shit. What do you think?" And there are Islanders fans who are assembling together on social media to root for the Rangers against the Hurricanes. And here's why. Because the Hurricanes Twitter page trashed Long Island after their series win. They were making fun of them. They were poking all these jokes. And then the Islanders fans were like, fuck you. We're uniting with the Rangers for one time and one time only. And now there's this huge debate online. Like, are you really an Isles fan if you root for the Rangers?
I saw
It's
that.
just like the most New York sports thing ever, and I'm just glad I'm not anywhere near that right now.
I completely agree. The thing that bothered me the most is the one tweet that I saw about it was a guy, an Islanders fan, saying exactly what you just said. He's like, blah, 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 for one series only. I'm rooting for the Rangers. Fuck the Canes. But the tagline of the tweet at the end was like, I'm siding with like class over talent. And I was like, excuse me. I don't ever want to hear you say that Rangers fans are classy. I don't ever want to hear you say,
Yeah.
I don't want to hear class and Rangers in the same fucking sentence. They both suck. They're both horrible fan bases, like, in terms of like being good people. I don't care. Flame me for this. You guys you're both assholes. You're all horrible. Not all. There's exceptions.
Majority.
Obviously. But like, so many of you suck.
I was at the Orioles game today. I was texting you guys. I didn't text you guys this. I saved it for the show. But you're walking into the stadium and we're playing the Yankees, right? And the Yankees travel well, duh. So there's a lot of Yankees fans, and we're walking into Camden Yards, and there's the street vendors outside of the stadium, and this Yankees fan is next to me and my sister as we're walking, getting waters, right? Because they're cheap outside, so we're grabbing some waters, and the street vendor guy makes a joke to the Yankees fan. He's like, "Oh, that's $2 for the water for you, right? Instead of one, because you're not a fan." And the guy looked at him dead in the eye, no sarcasm in his voice. And I'm not going to do an accent because I'll embarrass myself, but he just goes, "Y'all asses should have moved to Nashville anyway." And I was just like, oh my God. And then they started chirping back and forth left and right. My sister's like, what the fuck's going on? I said, this is how they thrive. They love this shit. They want that.
3 out of 4. Thanks for coming.
Nice. I think it's like therapy for them.
Like, that's not a joke you make to Baltimore Orioles fans. We went through a lot the last year until the ownership change. I'm not going to go into the baseball specifics, but that's
loser mentality. Don't get me started.
That guy Yankees, roots for the Rags.
Also, going back to the whole Islanders are going to be buddy with the Rangers fans. No, they're not.
Somebody made a graphic of them shaking hands with the Nassau, what is it? The Verrazano, the fucking Verrazano bridge in behind it. I was like, all right, I've had enough. I'm logging off.
I think everyone's had enough of that bridge. I've probably spent 40 hours alone stuck on that bridge.
On the bridge. Yeah. And then you got to go the other way, go GW.
Right.
Even
$19
even
way.
Worse. Yeah.
I can't talk about this anymore, so we're gonna move on.
No, it's stupid. It's like the whole we need a Canadian team to win the Stanley Cup again. I'm like, you guys all hate each other. You can't just all of a sudden be buddy and have there be an army of 7 of you.
Sorry, Tappan Zee Bridge. That's the other one I forgot. That one fucking sucks.
That one is pretty bad too.
Wow. Okay then. All right, so we're gonna have the Canes take on the Rangers in round 2. We'll give some quick thoughts and previews about that after we do Bruins Leafs. We're gonna talk about that real quick. So we are obviously recording this right after Game 6. That was the reason we're up at midnight right now recording this. So yeah, Nye scores in overtime in Game 5 to force Game 6, and then we just had Game 6 happen where Nylander bags 2 goals. And the Bruins score with 0.01 seconds left. If you had Leafs -1.5, you're in our thoughts and prayers. That is a bad beat for the ages. But nonetheless, we've got a game 7 here, boys. So what do you think?
Oh man, if you're a Bruins fan, you got to be going, are we really going to blow a 3-1 lead 2 years in a row? And I mean, am I wrong in thinking that this would be the most poetic way for the Leafs to exercise this demon is to do it from 3-1 down after having that shoved in their face so many times?
It is, and I will counter punch with this. And I told you this before Matt hopped on the call. I am about to read you a stat that is, I would use the word creepy. This is creepy, actually.
Like simulation creepy?
Yes.
Gotcha.
In 2013, the Bruins and the Leafs met in the playoffs. Boston won game 1, Toronto won game 2, Boston 3 and 4, Toronto 5 and 6, Boston and 7. In 2018, the Maple Leafs and the Bruins met in the playoffs. Boston win game 1, Toronto wins game 2, Boston 3 and 4, Toronto 5 and 6, Boston wins in 7. 2024, present day, Boston wins game 1, Toronto wins game 2, Boston 3 and 4, Toronto 5 and 6. If we're following the
Dude,
Matrix,
that
Jesus
is
Christ.
insane.
it's the
What in
same
the
order.
world?
It's the same order. Like, that's creepy.
I'm like,
Man.
and that's not like that's over the course of
Uh,
at least 10 years too. Like totally
13.
different teams pretty much, but like that is
Yeah.
just insane.
You cannot
Oh,
escape your
man.
destiny, as they would say in Star Wars, right? So yes, it would be awesome if the Leafs won game 7 to exercise it, but how funny if this trend just keeps going on and all these Leafs fans, including our
Oh
good
my
friend
God.
Rick Rowley, who is like, I didn't want this and I don't want this, but I kind of want it. And they end up blowing game 7. I don't know. What do you guys think? Who's gonna take it?
It's so hard to call because you're right. It's like, are they going to fall for the like? Is it going to be the same trend all over again, or are the Bruins going to go blow a 3-1 series lead 2 years in a row? And
Right.
we talked about them coming into this
It's
series pissed off about last year.
it's a choke either way.
It is a big time
literally
choke
is a
either
choke
way.
either way.
There is chaos, no matter who wins.
I
Yeah.
picked Bruins in 7. I don't know, guys. I think after seeing what Joseph Woll did tonight, I think all the momentum's with Toronto. I think, and we talked about in our group chat a little bit about how the Bruins were getting booed off the ice after last game. I don't know. I just got to ride with Toronto. I think the crowd was much more involved tonight. They got a huge boost from that. They're winning games without arguably the best goal scorer currently in the NHL. There's something there.
Yes, but
Yeah, that's the thing.
I am going to go with the Bruins.
It's a big butt.
It's at TD Garden, right?
Yes.
It's at TD Garden, and I think after getting shut out, I think Marchand, Pasternak, I think literally like the guys step up and win this one like 4-1 or 4-2 or something like that. I think the Leafs battled back, but I don't know. I think I almost would have rather the Leafs win tonight, like a more normal, like 4-2 or 3-2 game. I think shutting them out, I think you pissed the Bruins, you poked the bear too hard. And I think the Bruins come back really pissed at home, crowd going bananas. I think they want the Panthers and they want comeuppance and they're going to win. And yeah.
I mean, you talked about that, the bad bounce in the Islanders Canes game. Talk about the bad bounce going off McAvoy going to block that shot tonight.
Jesus,
so
that
has to be so frustrating.
They basically, it was basically an even game. I know for a while, for the first half of the game, the Bruins weren't there. They didn't have shots on goal, but they caught up. It ended up being more even towards the end. And yeah, bad bounce is the difference, basically.
Harry, what do you think?
I picked the Bruins in 7, so I should stick with that, right? That's what logic would say. The thing for me is like, what you're gonna get with Swayman. You know what you're gonna get. They're gonna Toronto can't score more than 2 goals. They just can't, and they haven't done it in. I think what was the stat? It was like the last 12 playoff games or something crazy. They haven't scored more than like 3 goals in a game.
Yep.
Toronto's going to pot 1 or 2. The thing is like Woll, like he's a brick. So I don't know what, like he's hot. I give him credit, but he's a lot more of a wild card than Swayman is. So that kind of makes me lean Bruins as the safer pick here. But
So is 3 enough for the Leafs in your opinion? Like if the Leafs can get 3 past Swayman, is that
if the
enough for them
Leafs
to win that game?
if the Leafs score 3 goals, they will win game 7.
Gotcha.
I just
I'm of the same school of thought, and I
Yeah.
think you could probably make the same argument for the Bruins too. Like if you get 3 past Wall, I think you're good,
race to 3.
pretty much.
I don't know. Backtracking a little bit here, but yeah, Matthews was out in game 5, out in game 6. God knows what'll happen in game 7. There's so many good storylines coming into this. And then Matthew Nyes, got to give him a shout out for the OT winner in game 5. Saw the coolest tweet in the world that was hysterical. I believe he was joined with, I want to say, who was he joined with? Was it Marchand in game 5? I can't remember who.
Probably.
He was jawing with somebody on the Bruins, and he was getting all cocky, and then he ends up scoring the OT winner. And Leafs Twitter was like, "We just witnessed Matthew Nyes go through puberty in 4 periods of hockey." And I was
That's
like,
fucking
and I
hilarious.
was like, "Yes, he went from a boy to a man in 4 periods of hockey."
Oh,
That's kind of
awesome.
scary if that dude hasn't gone through puberty, because I think he's like 6 years younger than me, but he looks like he's like 8 years older than I am.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I thought I just had to say that because it was hysterical. Nick, what's your game 7 pick? It sounds like me and Mac are both leaning bees.
I'm gonna go Leafs. I picked the Bruins, but like I said, I think the Leafs just have the momentum. They had the crowd behind them. All their wins prior to tonight came on the road. They've already won twice in that building.
I'm not gonna lie, boys. It's equally funny to me either way.
Absolutely.
I
This
really
is
don't
a-
care.
What you said at the beginning of the postseason, where you're like, I can sit back and just be a fly on the wall. This is the
Yeah.
perfect series for that.
I mean, I'm wearing a Leafs jersey if you're watching on YouTube right now, but I don't particularly give a fuck about either of these teams. Yes, I actually have more hatred towards the Bruins than I do toward the Leafs. I don't really hate the Leafs,
It's just
but
funny.
We're
it's
just tired of hearing
objectively
about 'em.
funny. Yeah, it's just funny. And so regardless, I got I won already. I get a game 7.
It's a
I
win-win
win.
for us. Yeah.
Like, I don't care who wins. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. That'll be Saturday night. The whole internet's going to be on that, so you'll want to follow along with the tweets going on there. But yeah, I could watch Domi and Marchand go at it for hours. It's incredible entertainment this series. I'm so glad that it's ended up going 7. Hopefully Matthews gets to play. I don't know, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm glad like a lot of these have like shaped out to be longer series than we thought. Because go back to the middle of last week and we were looking at not having any 2-2 matchups for the first time, I think, ever in an opening round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. So now that there's potential for, we've got this series going 7, potentially the Canucks and the Preds are going 7. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, Vegas, Dallas too.
Yep.
All right, real quick. We don't have to do like a whole big formal recap or prediction because we don't have a lot of stuff in front of us at the moment. We're hopping on late here, but initial thoughts on the Hurricanes and the Rangers round 2. I don't think we'll have another recording before the game 1 on Sunday. So just your first thoughts.
It's a really tough one. After the Rangers beat us, I wanted to be like, oh, the Canes are gonna kick the shit out of you, blah, blah, blah. If you want my honest opinion, and now that I've had a few days to let the soreness of the Caps loss wear off, I think the Rangers win this series. I think Igor is on a mission right now. I know it's just against the Caps, who like actually suck compared to like a lot of these other playoff teams, but I don't know. I think Igor is on one right now, and I think the Canes are going to have a hard time scoring against him.
I think that's a great point. I think it'll actually be the first real test of the postseason for both of these teams because their first round matchup, let's be real, was probably more difficult for the Canes. Let's be real.
A little bit, but they both basically got a fast pass.
Pretty much. So I'm in agreement. I'm going to lean towards the Rags. I think that the Canes aren't exactly perfect. I think they're built well. I think you can expose them in ways. We saw the Islanders do it a little bit in that first game, and for 80% of the game that they ended up blowing. But I think the Rangers team can give this Carolina team a lot of problems, especially if, you know, the Zibanejad, Kreider, Trocheck guys keep producing like they're producing now. Because honestly, I don't know if there's any team in the world that has an answer for those guys when they're hot.
And you want to know what the best part about this series is? One of these fucking teams is getting eliminated.
No,
in the
that is the
second
best
round.
part. Yeah. Harry, your thoughts? This is an interesting one for you.
Yeah. I picked the Rangers to go to the Cup, but this is fishy. This is a fishy series. Let me tell you why. Vegas currently has the Canes at minus 143, and they have the Rangers at plus
It's
120.
so stupid.
That is a fishy line. Like, why wouldn't you take the Rangers at that? Everybody would at that price, right? But so like that tells me why are the Canes favored that heavily? I don't even think it should be that much.
Nate from Elwoods was just talking to me about this when I saw him the other night too. He was like, I don't understand why Vegas continues to favor the Canes like this. I don't get it.
Also, did you guys see the stuff with Brindamore over the last couple of days? They were saying that like he might not be back as coach. I'm like, you guys just won a playoff series in 5 games. Why would you not bring the coach back? I know there's
pretty weird what they're doing.
Right. I know there's ongoing talks about his deal, but it just seems like it's a weird situation to be talking about right now.
Exactly.
Like after a playoff series win. You don't see that from any other team in the league.
Exactly.
Ran a poll on our Twitter page the other day. We've got 63 votes on this poll, and the question was who's taking round 2, Rangers or Canes. 57% of the poll went Rangers and 43% of the poll went Canes. I think there's a little more New Yorkers that follow us, so maybe that data's skewed a little bit, but yeah, I lean Rangers. I think they're a more complete team, and honestly, the part where it really kind of sells me is Igor versus Freddie. Freddie played really well in round 1, but I think Shesterkin is gonna hold the fort down here.
Yeah,
I don't worry about that too much. I worry about Freddie a little bit.
I agree with you there. I think that's definitely a question mark. My question to the both of you, and this is the hardest part for me, is it's not who you think is going to like win the series. Who do you want to win this series? I mean, that is a tough one for any of us to answer. So
whichever team wins, I hope they lose the next round.
I will pick the I
would probably rather the Hurricanes win just because I like Orlov and Kuznetsov.
Yep. I would
rather have the Canes win for Jake, but I have the Rangers in my Cup final, so I don't know.
Is it weird that I think most of the people have just completely written off whoever wins the Bruins Leafs series, and it's just waiting to see which one of these two teams gets Florida in the conference final?
Yeah, it kind of feels like that, doesn't it? But it's the same thing with the Canucks and the Preds. It's like, oh, who's going to get stomped by the Oilers power play in 5 games, right? But yeah.
Very true.
Okay. That's kind of our preview. It looks like we all got the Rangers. All right, fellas.
There's no way that can go wrong.
Yeah. Anything else you want to discuss before we hop off? It's 12:04 in the morning. I'm running.
I think that'll do it. Yeah.
These late ones get you, eh?
I'm excited for these games tonight. Friday night, 2 massive game 6s. This is going to be a good one.
Nick, I lost my pick on our Twitter page for the Bees. So you are going to be the one who gets to sweep the board on the Friday night elimination games. So congratulations.
No problem. Absolutely got this in the bag. What can go wrong?
Oh man. Any final notes before we wrap up here, fellas?
Just one more quick shout out to Elwoods. I was there the other night. It was literally the perfect bar to watch some NHL playoff action at. And so just a reminder to support your local dive bar and have a beer at Elwoods Liquor and Tap. It's home of the Pizza Luge, located in the heart of downtown Milwaukee on Water Street. It's a 70s inspired bar with a little something for everybody. We'll see you down at Elwoods. And they really are a hockey bar, ladies and gentlemen. They've got all the games every single time I go in there. I love a bar that I don't even have to ask the bartender to put on hockey. They just know.
That's rare.
It is, especially while the NBA playoffs are going on. And I was hanging out with a diehard NBA fan tonight, and he said, the NBA playoffs suck. He said, "This is the worst product ever." He said, "This shit sucks," and I was like, I completely agree.
I agree too. And that actually my last thing I'll say, and then we're done here. I just saw this on Twitter, and I can't believe this is true, but it's from Sportsnet, and it's the verified account, so I'm going to say it's true. No team in NHL, NBA, or MLB history has blown a 3-1 series lead in consecutive seasons.
Wow.
Whoa.
No pressure,
Whoa,
Bruins
whoa.
fans.
Wait, the
No
Caps
pressure.
didn't do that?
I just had the same thought. I'm like, that is crazy.
Apparently
I can't
not
believe
back-to-back
we didn't
years.
do that.
No pressure, Bees fans, but
Damn.
it's a lot of weight. So
That's wild.
Saturday night should be fun. And one last thing, Prop Tracker, go check them out. Link in our bio. You can go download them. All the prop data that you need to make the best bets during these NHL playoffs, especially in Game 7. Shots on goal are a very popular one these days. Jake DeBrusk, I'm looking at you. Make me
It's
some
gonna
money on
happen.
Saturday.
That's a mortal lock. Like he's getting at least one in this next game, right?
I would hope so. We'll see. But all right, everybody, we appreciate the love and support as always. Enjoy your weekend of elimination hockey, and without further ado,
Class dismissed.